welcome to the As Yourself podcast. Today I have a special guest. Yay!
That was so awkward.
No, it's okay. So today we have my mom. You could hold your little mic if you want to. We should have took a shot before. I wanted her to come on my podcast today because I feel like since I was a teenager, she always told me like to have a positive outlook on life, and she's very spiritual, and she put her good ways of thinking onto me, and I just want to spread that positivity with you guys, and I want her to come on my channel so she could give a little background of herself and how she became like this. And I'm gonna ask her some questions, and then we're just gonna go from there to get to know us a little better. So grab your snacks and your coffee or your shots or whatever you like to drink. Okay, so for the past 6 months, I've had a lot of growth and realizations and a lot of change, and it literally feels like a whole new reality shift. Like I went from two different Alyssas. I went from old Alyssa to new Alyssa, and I lost a lot of friends and people that I loved and cared about, but I also gained really good friendships and got a closer bond with my family and my mom. And I feel like the old Alyssa that I was 6 months ago is that I can't compare to what I am now, that I've just sat alone in my space and my own hurt and dealt with it, and I cried and screamed and threw up. And I just want to thank my mom also for being there for me through this hard time. And because if it wasn't for her to show me like how to be positive and like always keep your head up and just be strong for you, because at the end of the day all you have is yourself, then I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for her. And me and my mom talk about, like, we have daily conversations about how we feel and what we're feeling and what our next step is and everything.
Aww, that's so sweet.
So that's why I brought her on here, because I feel like she showed me a lot of good things in life.
Yeah, I mean, I think that when you see a change like in yourself, with me, like once I saw the change in myself, I felt like, okay, this is going to be better for my kids and my daughter. Just teaching her these things and just the way of thinking, like, you're always going to have to deal with problems and all of that. You're still going to have to deal with these things. So
you're always going to deal with stuff. And I think she's trying to say, like, regardless of having to go through hardships and hard times, whatever you go through makes you a better person at the end of the day.
Well, you're learning lessons.
Learning lessons, and you have to, if you're going through a hard time, you have to go through it in order to be better. You can't like run from it. So I'm just kidding. So when did you start your spiritual journey?
Well, it all started when I saw The Secret, the movie and the book, and it kind of like sparked something in me. So with that, I feel like that was like a big spark, and like just to want to change my life for the better. I wanted the kids to be, see me change so then that they could in turn change as well. In these past 6 months, you've learned all this recharge that you've had. Now you're starting this podcast and you're realizing like this is the time that was right for you to start this.
And like, what was the first step that you did to like activate your higher self?
I think I did the meditations first, and the affirmations, and then meditation, affirmations, journaling, and gratitude
journal
list.
Or gratitude list.
Gratitude list would help, like if you did it every day. But yeah, so those are the things that I started, the small things I started with doing.
And that's when she told me about, like, because I was like young, and when you're young and you're 15 and you're 16, like you're all into like, you don't know what's going on, really. You don't know what's happening. So if you don't have like a parent figure like to tell you like to be positive, because growing up in like some families, like they don't let you express your feelings and how you feel. Like they don't accept you for who you are, your sexuality, and all this stuff. So it's kind of hard for you to understand these things at a young age. So like, luckily that I had my mom to like come in, because if I didn't, you're always surrounded by like influences and people around you, and when you're around that crowd at a young age, it'll continue to be like that if you don't get into your head and like start thinking what you want to do at a young age to better yourself,
And
you
that's
know?
when I think that I was telling you about the meditation when you
Yeah.
were like 16 or 17. Um, that's when I started to tell you to do
Yeah.
the meditation, because then that can help you kind of just gather your thoughts, and not stress out about all the other things that are
Mhm.
happening around you. So that's when you did want to do the
And
meditation, but you still didn't really want to do
because most
it.
kids, 15 and 16 is a kid. So at that age, you're like, oh yeah, like if you're open minded, you're gonna. I was open minded, so I was willing to do that, to think a different way, because I like change. But in that time, I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do it. But I never did it because I think I just didn't know how to really. Because meditating, you had to be silent and close
You
your
like
eyes,
it
and
just takes a while to get used to, I think,
yeah,
just to be able to sit there with your own self. And that's what I think a lot of people are
are
scared
afraid
of,
to do.
especially like younger generation. Like they always want to be distracted and
Yeah,
not
they don't want
be
to
like
face
by
what's going
themselves.
on.
So like that, I think that you were like, okay, like you started the meditations,
Hmm.
and then you started to learn how to just be with yourself, and then you started doing the journaling.
Yeah, I started journaling. I would say I at like 15, 16, I did meditating, but then like I think when I was 18, that's when I really got into like wanting to be better for myself and do like journaling. I got into journaling because I didn't really know how to express my feelings. So I just started writing it down like every day. I still journal till this day actually. So I just bought a journal and just wrote. You write just anything down, like don't think too much about it, but that's what I would do.
But for me, I feel like growing up, because I did grow up Catholic, and then I wasn't really into church much. So I did make my communion and confirmation, but I feel like that was just something to go to. Like, as with spirituality, it's more of like knowing and
Hmm.
feeling that energy that you have within you to like, you could still pray, and
Yeah.
I still am very, I
We
believe in
still very much
God.
believe in God.
I believe in God.
Yes. Even though you still have to put in the work in, like you have to
You
put in
can't
the
just sit there and be like waiting for something to happen just because
yeah,
you were praying. Like, you
yeah,
should be taking the step
uh-huh.
still.
You know, you have to put in the work. If you want to do better, you have to do it for yourself. Excuse me, director. And cut.
Cut.
Lunch. I want it Chipotle.
Yeah.
Just be yourself. Shut up.
Oh, well, yeah.
So adulting. I moved out at 18, but I was in a relationship at 17. So, you know, when you're young, you don't really think of things. You're in love and you just jump the gun and you're like moving in. It's just going to be la 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 la. And
So you're saying you weren't ready to move out at 18. You
no.
weren't ready for adulting.
Yeah. Personally, me, I was not ready. Or maybe I was ready. I thought so. I was ready, but maybe not with the right person, because everybody is raised differently. You have to mold into like you guys have to have like a routine together, and like you wash dishes differently or wash your clothes, make the bed, you wake up at a different time. What if you wake up at 10, they wake up at 6, and then what if they get mad? So when I moved out, the person that I was with at the time was very toxic. Yeah, so she was a toxic person, so her putting her ways onto me, what's that word, projecting herself and her ways, that slowly into the years I lost who I was and like
Oh, okay.
myself, and the momentum of me going back to 15, 16, and 18 of journaling, meditating, and be one within myself and being happy. I ended up not being happy anymore because I didn't know who I was. And happened to everybody if you communicate good. And but most people at that age don't really know how to communicate and stuff. Like, I'm sure when you were 18,
Yeah, when I was
she
19.
had me. and moved in.
Yeah, when I had you, I was 19, and then
She was with my dad, and my dad moved in.
yeah, so all of that was just so fast, and I feel like you're just not ready for that, that young.
Yeah.
But at my age, I didn't learn what I don't know. I didn't know what she knows now.
At my
So,
age.
so I think that,
But I feel like I could have known more now if I didn't jump the gun so fast, you know?
and just trying to adult
Yeah.
yourself and
So
like,
people don't realize is that you have all the time to be an adult and all the time to be in a relationship. You should focus on you first and yourself and loving yourself, because people get into relationships thinking they're craving that love. They want it from someone else. They're trying to fill a void that they're missing, you know, but that's the wrong way to do it.
love yourself,
Yeah, to love yourself first. That's what you have to do.
and then to be better for
for
the
that person. Because if
that
you
you want
don't
to
love
meet.
yourself, then you can't love. If you can't love yourself, then you can't love that person. It's gonna be lust. It's gonna be like it's not gonna come out the way it should be.
And also just loving yourself for finding the person that
Is meant for
is
you.
meant for you. And then when you learn to love yourself, I feel like then you'll teach that other person that you're looking for to how to love you as well.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing too, like knowing, how to love yourself, and then you're showing that person how to love you.
Yeah. Just because I'm in a relationship, but I'm still like alone with myself. I sit alone with myself a lot, and because you can still be in a relationship. Some people are in the relationship and they don't have alone time.
So yeah, you have to have alone time, and you okay, so what
Mhm.
you've learned from your adulting now, you're at the point where you're like, okay, now I've learned all these things being in this toxic relationship. I've learned so many lessons, and that's brought me to who I am now.
Oh yeah, and also like being in an environment like having friends and the person that I used to be with and all that came with letting go and having to let go in order for me to change and move forward with my life. Because if I continued to stay in that, and I wouldn't be able to grow. I outgrew the people that I used to be around.
Yes.
So I don't think it's a bad thing when people think like, you're not always going to have the same friend forever. You're constantly changing and you're constantly growing. Today I'm a better person than I was yesterday. Every day is a new day to make a better you.
So now you're okay with
So now I'm okay with losing my friends and losing partners and losing people, because I'm okay with myself and I'm okay with being alone and having myself. It had to take a bad thing to turn into something good.
So when you go on the outside and you look at yourself,
Yeah.
you're looking at the bigger
I'm
picture.
looking at the bigger picture and looking at like what's going on. What's happening?
And that's one of the things that I think that is really good, that you like learning to love yourself, and like learning you is to step out of your situation and look at it from the outside in, so that you can see like, oh, okay, this is where I need to improve, and like that. And I feel like that's how you grow, like you're looking at what the problems are and you're learning from that. So now that you learned your lessons and now you're who you are.
What made you want to tell me like don't have kids or like do it the right way? And how did you get to where you're at?
Well, I had you at 19, and then my thinking at that point was more like how I grew up. It was more of like, if you're gonna have a baby, then you get married, then you have your job, and then your career, and then that's how it goes.
Yeah.
But that thinking is not going to be, that's not the kind of thinking that I wanted to put into my daughter's head. Like, I wanted you guys to do things differently. And I think the way that I thought then was just to do that, the working and then the getting married and working, the 9 to 5. The way that I thought at that young age, I didn't want you to think that way at your age. I wanted you to think beyond that, so that you were more prepared for the world and you could be a better person overall.
Breaking generational curses is what needs to be happening, because
that's what it is. Yeah,
most people grow up 9 to 5 and toxic families and all this, and like you either grow up breaking that cycle or you are going to continue that cycle. So it's up to you to choose if you want to do better for yourself or continue to be in ways like that, because you attract what you are. So if you continue to be how your parents were to you and dub down your feelings and belittle yourself and surround yourself with toxic friends and just doing things that aren't good for you, you're going to be that way too. So it's up to you at the end of the day. Even if you don't have a parent or a mom or a dad or someone telling you right now, you have us.
Yes.
To tell
To
you
tell you.
that you don't really need anyone. You have to figure it out yourself at the end of the day, because all you have is yourself.
You come here alone and you
leave
die. You leave
alone.
alone. And I just wanted you to be more prepared for the world and have a different mindset. So if that was just trying to, get you to meditate at first, and the journaling that you were doing, it kind of prepared you a little bit, and then you were able to have those realizations
Yeah.
that you had when you were, when I gave you advice when you were in a relationship, or I gave you advice with friendships or any of that. It was always, I never really wanted to tell you what to do, but just give you more like advice on what I thought that would be right. Not just saying like, oh, you have to
need to
do
do
this.
this. Yeah. And to just get a better outlook on life, because that's how I see it now.
Yeah, like the different way of thinking.
I see life more like not for all what it is bad that it is, but for all the good that it is.
Yeah, I think that's the important thing, like to live more in your light than in your dark.
Yeah.
Because
everyone, we're human. We're not always gonna have a good day. Bad shit happens, things happen, but you have to remember that at the end of the day, it's gonna be okay.
we always say that.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
It's gonna be okay
fine.
and it's gonna be fine. So
But I think that when you learn how to, that's where the meditation comes into play, because that can teach you how
train your mind.
to train you to like be able to deal with stress and things, because like,
Anxiety.
yeah, and anxiety
Because
and everything.
there is anxiety and there isn't depression. There is depression. There's all these things, but it's all literally in our head. If you want to do it, you're going to do it. Like, I've told people to meditate and stuff, and people are like, "Oh, it's hard. I don't know how to shut my mind off." Like, of course, because your thoughts are going, you overthink. It's going, but once you just take that little step to just even try to do it, and then you get that little feeling of, wow, this is calming, and then you continue to do it, and then you keep doing it, and then you train your mind
teaches you more how to deal with those stresses,
Yeah.
and like to be like, oh, okay, like it brings you to realizations. So if you need clarity in your life, or you're just stuck in a certain spot, or you think that things are going bad, you can meditate, and I feel like that'll kind of settle you if you start doing that and putting that in your routine.
It's like,
then it'll
training your muscle.
Yeah,
your
because
mind.
everything's all in your mind. Like
Mhm.
we can say that everything's gonna be fine, and I know everybody makes fun of us for saying like, oh, we always say everything's gonna be fine, everything's gonna be okay, but because that's how we really feel.
Yeah.
So I feel like if that's how you really feel, like it will be like you're creating your reality. So you're learning to be by yourself. You're learning to calm your mind to deal with stresses, and then that brings you to your realizations, that gives you your clarity.
Yeah.
Like it does all of that.
It comes all within, because if you just sit down and just think and overstress and go like psycho, nothing's really gonna go good in your life, because you're stressed, you're overwhelmed, and you're thinking about it, how overwhelmed and stressed you are constantly. Then you're gonna get overwhelming and stressful things in your life, because you keep, how do you say, think that way? I don't know.
Yeah, because you're just bringing it onto yourself.
You're bringing it onto yourself, truthfully.
So it's just, I think, learning how to deal with everything, and then like knowing, living in your knowing, and that's what I think is really hard. I think like just trying to live in your knowing, and knowing that everything's going to be okay. I think that's the hardest thing.
Yeah.
So like, when you're trying to say,
Because
oh,
it's
I want this.
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And everybody wants to be comfortable because it's easier that way. But you have to be uncomfortable to have change, to have growth, to learn from your lessons. Because to be comfortable, you're just going to be stuck. And then, like I was telling my friend, that you're just going to be on autopilot. And you're not going to know what to do next because you're just so comfortable and you like the comfortability.
Okay, yeah.
Come on.
He just wants to be in the camera.
He's there. He needs a haircut.
Yeah, that's your job, honey.
That most
So-
people, like me leaving a lot of my friends and my relationship, took strength for me to let go of that, because obviously it's not easy. It's not easy. It's hard, but and I was scared because I didn't want to feel that uncomfortableness because I was so comfortable where I was at with my routine, with my friends, and what I would do with my partner at the time, and it was comfortable, but it wasn't making me grow. I wasn't going anywhere. I felt stuck. I felt like I was an autopilot. I felt like I wanted more. I wanted to be better. I wanted to continue to grow. So I left, and of course it was uncomfortable. It was like a whole reality transition change. After I felt comfortable, because then I felt comfortable being in my own space and being comfortable with myself.
And I think that's when you realize, like, okay, yeah, it's gonna be hard,
Mhm.
and uncomfortable,
Yeah.
but you just do it, and then you're like,
And
oh,
then
okay.
the outcome of it is that,
I think you have to have that in your mind, though, that outcome, that bigger picture,
yeah,
that elevation that you have to see it.
Yeah, you have
in
to
you.
see it. You can't just like come out of it and then just think, okay, I'm gonna be sad, and that's it.
Yeah, I think that you
Of
have
course,
to
you're
have
gonna
that.
be sad. You're gonna go through the grief of losing a partner, the sadness, the anger, and then it's up to you to either you're gonna stay like that and continue the cycle and pass your anger and hurt onto other people, because hurt people, or you're gonna realize that you are hurt and you're gonna be aware of your feelings and change it to be better for you, so you could spread that onto other people, and then it continues.
So being comfortable with the uncomfortable is like, that's the secret as well. There's so many little secrets that that we should already know within, but we think it's always so hard to elevate ourselves, and oh, we're gonna lose friends, and oh, it's too hard, and we're gonna have to do it alone, and all those types of things. But in the end, you know what you want, you know what it could be, and you have that in your mind. And I think as long as you keep that there, like, anything is possible.
Everybody have a beat inside my body.
So
we gon' spin and kill. Deep in the spot. A nigga telling on.
Comfortability. Look, he thinks he's all cute.
And
He's all, he put his head up. He's all,
action, Shani baby. Say hi. Say,
did you take your? Did you take your? Don't do it.
Sorry.
He's already pissed at you for his grooming yesterday. Oh my god.
Okay, let's do it. ASMR. Everybody say hi to Shane. Look at say hi.
Stop.
What do you want? I had a great time. I'm just kidding. So like, share, comment, and put your post notifications on for the next episode for next Wednesday. Every Wednesday.